we are going to be talking about sleep, which is an issue that everybody deals with. We all need to sleep. And fortunately, we have some amazing resources to share with you and hopefully tools that will help you along the road. This class will be about 30 minutes, hopefully, give or take, and should give you some really good and simple, easy things to do to make the most of your sleeping, which is underrated, I think, and we'll talk about that a little bit. So, okay, so a sleep evaluation. I want you to kind of look at your sleep schedule before we get started, what your sleeping looks like, and really think about it. So if you don't have paper and pen or something to just jot some notes down on, maybe a separate screen open with the Word doc or Google Doc or something, I do want you to take notes as needed. So think about this. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your sleep? Interestingly enough, my sleep has improved significantly, and I didn't even think I had an issue. So you may even feel like your sleep is a 9, but it probably can get better. So we'll talk about that. But on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your waking hours? So are you tired? Are you groggy? Are you alert? Are you productive? If you rated your sleep less than a 7, how long has it been that way? And I think a lot of people fall into that category. A lot of people know they want more sleep or know they're tired. And, you hear people say it all the time. How are you doing? Oh, good. I'm just tired. I just not sleeping that well. It's just such a common thread in conversation. People are basically accustomed to not getting the best sleep that they can. So hopefully you will leave tonight feeling empowered to take charge of that. So restful sleep promotes better health. You maybe have seen this pyramid that doTERRA promotes in classes because, we know that the oils are great, but we also know that you can't skip steps in being healthy and be healthy. I actually kind of think that these first 3 bottom steps are sort of interchangeable. So they shouldn't really be, I don't think, a different size. Of course, eating right is important and exercise is important, but resting and managing stress is just as important. And sleeping, I feel like, is one of the major reasons that people struggle with their diet and with their motivation to exercise. And when you sleep poorly, you also get cravings to eat bad foods and things like that. So I really think those bottom 3 could be even, because I think they're equally as important as one another. And it's a different way of thinking about things, because people think, I'll eat right, I'll exercise. And really, I feel like if you jump in and change one of these things, even a little bit, you'll probably start to see dramatic results. So sleep is what we're going to focus on tonight. 3 pillars: sleep, exercise, and nutrition. Okay, so what do the experts say about sleep? Well, Dr. Robert Schreiner says we need to convince 100% of the public that good sleep is as necessary as exercise and nutrition for optimal health. So it's not just me saying that. Dr. Robert Schreiner agrees. Sleep is the golden chain that ties health and our bodies together. And that's from, between the times of 1572 and 1632. So that's ancient wisdom, really, and something that we shouldn't neglect. It's very true. Our society is still operating under the collective delusion that sleep is simply time lost to other pursuits. And that, I think, is where we're really at. And one of the things I hope that we can think about in assessing, I'm not going to get into all the different ways that you can sort of reframe your mindset, but we do need to think about, why aren't we putting as much on sleep as possible? It seems like sleeping is sort of the first thing to go. If we're busy, we say, okay, I'll stay up later, or I'll wake up earlier, or whatever. And that really is not a great way to think about sleep. So data from 2011, across the lifespan in the USA, 36% of our entire lives will be spent asleep. It is our single most important behavior. We do not do anything else as much as we should be sleeping. But it's important to remember that just because we're sleeping doesn't mean we're actually resting. And it'll say that again in a minute. But the brain and sleep correlate, and our brain can't function optimally if it doesn't get enough rest. So what's going on while we sleep? First of all, we're processing information. It is our time for our brain to relax and sort of go through all the things that have occurred and either release or store or whatever we're going to do with that information. It helps us develop memories. Like I said, that's when we would store that information and keep it for later use. It helps with emotional processing. So you may have had a rough day, but if you don't sleep on top of it, you don't have a chance for your body to calm down and deal with that in a rational state of mind. Often we try to deal with these emotions when we're in the high stress situation and we never come down from that. And so it makes it almost impossible, a cycle that we just can't end. Removing waste products happens when we're sleeping. Through our breathing and through sweating and through, we wake up in the morning, we have to go to the bathroom, or some of us even in the middle of the night. So it's an important part. Replacing energy reserves, rebuilding the metabolism, regulating growth and repair, regulating appetite, balancing hormones, strengthening the immune system, nutrition assimilation. Melatonin increases ratio of brown fat, which functions like muscle tissue, to burn waxy fat tissue. So melatonin is, of course, the hormone that's released when you're sleeping, and it helps you sleep better. So those are all some pretty significant things that happen while we sleep. So clean your brain, literally. That is what happens while we're sleeping, and it's important to clean that out because obviously a clean brain works better than a dirty brain. So there are 4 stages to sleep. The first stage is the falling asleep period, where brain waves are slow, muscles may contract sharply and then relax. You may jump a little bit, and I think we all are familiar with that feeling. And then number 2 is the light sleep phase, where our body temperature and heart rate decrease and our brain starts to process those memories. Maybe some dreaming happening. Our deepest sleep, hormones release, the immune system strengthens. This is when sleepwalking might occur. And then REM is when our eyes are active and the brain is more so, and the limbs become temporarily, I can't remember what that says, but I think weakened. But anyway, they're basically not really going to move or do anything in that time. Paralyzed. There we go. Body is paralyzed, basically. So just because you slept doesn't mean you rested. And I'm going to go back to the last slide. Oops. Uh-oh. It's going to take me a while. Because just because you've fallen asleep doesn't mean you get to all 4 stages. So you may fall asleep, but you may never get past that light sleep phase. And if you don't, then you're not really getting rest. You're not really going to wake up feeling rejuvenated. So it makes a big difference, quality of sleep. And that's where I think some people, they go to bed and they sleep the 8 hours and don't realize that they're not really getting that kind of repair that we just outlined, because they're not getting the sleep that they need. So sleep disruption and joy, and how those 2 things can affect the other. So life is a dance between making it happen and letting it happen. Sleep is an opportunity to connect with a part of us that brings joy to everything we are doing, makes us more present and vital in everything we are doing. And that's really true. When you're rested, you feel a little bit more at ease, more stable. You can see the world for what it really is and for all the things that it offers us. And when we're sleep deprived, we just feel more deprived in everything else that we're doing. It just kind of translates that way. And it's very true. If you meet a child who's super cranky or overactive or anything like that, a lot of times it's because that's how sleepiness translates into kids. When my kids get tired, super tired, they get busier. They are running around more and falling down more and maybe laugh easier, but then they also cry easier. And it's just a much more obvious response through children, but adults do the same thing, and it just presents differently. We maybe work harder and spend more time, spinning our wheels, but we're not really making progress. So when we sleep, it offers us an opportunity to make the most of the efforts we make during the day when we're awake. Some consequences of poor sleep. For a short-term period, not getting good sleep, maybe 2 to 3 nights of poor sleep, you'll have attention loss, You'll have high level micro sleep. So you might like fall asleep at your desk or maybe even in the car or something like that. And that's not good. Failure to process information, impulsivity or loss of empathy. You know, failure to process information a lot of times I feel like is if I miss an appointment or forget I scheduled something or anything like that. A lot of times I think it is a result of poor sleep because my brain just can't keep track of everything when it's sleep deprived. Impulsivity and loss of empathy. And that's what happened at Chernobyl. Apparently there was the big accident. A lot of it had to do with the guy that was running it was not sleeping. The Titanic is the same. Apparently he was overtired. And, you know, there's just a lot of historical moments where people were either drunk or tired. And really the two can't be separated because they have the same effects on our body. Memory impairment, reduced cognition and creativity. Falling asleep at the wheel results in 10,000 crashes every day and 40,000 or every year, I'm sorry, and 40,000 injuries. Sorry, that's cut off at the bottom there. But you know, when you're sleep deprived and you're driving, it's a very dangerous place to be. And it's important to keep that in mind because 10,000 crashes is huge, 40,000 injuries is huge, and we need to avoid that. We don't want to be injured just because we're tired or worse. So consequences of poor sleep, long term. So this would be somebody who has, you know, works third shift or seriously just cannot fall asleep and stay asleep. And what that looks like in most people is immune suppression or increased infection or cancer risk, increased cardiovascular disease, perhaps stroke, risk of diabetes, type 2 diabetes, increased appetite, like sugar cravings and caffeine addiction, metabolic syndrome, weight problems, which metabolic syndrome is where, you know, your metabolism isn't functioning as it should, weight problems, stress hormone release, too much cortisol linked to belly fat. When you haven't slept enough, your hormones are out of whack, and the way that you respond to things increases the hormones that, you know, normally would be under control. But, you know, too much cortisol, again, not a good thing. It just puts your body constantly in a fight or flight state of mind. So this is just an example of over time what it looks like for a lot of people who are on a long-term or in the middle of a long-term poor sleep stretch. And it just builds up and builds up and builds up, and it can be very hard to lose that weight. This is just a good infographic on sleep deprivation. You can see it says symptoms similar to ADHD. I think, you know, what we don't realize in our society is how important sleep is. And a lot of times I think doctors are just out of touch with this. And so when people come in with issues, they don't say, well, have you tried sleeping better? Or is your child sleeping well through the night? Because those things always lead to these other things. ADHD is, you know, huge. And adults all the time say, oh, I have ADHD. Well, you maybe just have a sleep problem. And of course that can start a cycle of, you know, you're laying there and thinking and you can't fall asleep. And so then you wake up and then you're thinking, and this can be an endless sort of issue. And a cycle that's really hard to jump off of. And so many of us in modern society are stuck on that cycle for several different reasons. And we'll talk about the things that impact us to be in such a way or in such a state in a minute. But hallucinations, severe yawning, which, I mean, I know when I yawn a lot of times in a row, I feel like, well, that's weird. And I can only imagine if that just happened more and more. But impaired moral judgment, memory lapses or loss, cognitive impairment, irritability, of course, growth suppression, risk of obesity, decreased reaction time and accuracy, tremors, aches. So all of this stuff is just, it's showing you physically where it affects you in your brain and your muscles, in your immune system, in your lungs. Consequences of poor sleep, psychiatric consequences, mood instability, anxiety, increased stimulant, sedative use, increased risk of mental health crisis. I feel like this is just outlining where we are as a country. You know, I feel like all of this is on the rise. And maybe sleep is where we're all, you know, we look to these other causes, and this is almost more fundamental and could be a simpler solution. If you feel like this guy, you maybe need to be sleeping better. Okay, so this is an example of what it looks like. And this is where I talked about, alcohol impairment versus sleep deprivation. They really are about the same in terms of how it looks in your effectiveness as a person, as an individual. Working 24/7 is a cognitive equivalent to, sorry, I got to move. I was hoping I didn't have to move our little bar, but I do have to move it because I can't read. I'm sorry. There's not really a good place to stick this guy. So let's see if the slides are better with it at the top. Okay. Yeah, actually it does go away a little bit more. Okay, so working 24/7 is the cognitive equivalent to coming to work drunk. Sleep is a performance enhancer. So true. I know they even in some countries, they do a siesta in the middle of the afternoon in Spain, and it's a real thing. And it makes a lot of sense because a 15-minute power nap can really improve overall effectiveness of workers. Something that we don't think about that impairs our sleep majorly is light. And we think, this day and age, we can just turn out the lights, we can put on our room darkening shades, whatever. If light is hitting your body at all, you can't sleep correctly. So we have light receptors all over our bodies. Even when you use an eye mask, if there is an artificial light hitting your body, it still cannot properly produce melatonin. And so many people are struggling in that production of melatonin. They're having a hard time coming down from the stresses of the day, making this different hormone that releases and helps us sleep better. And, if we don't make that, we don't sleep well. So that's really the key. We can't fix what we don't know. A lot of people are taking melatonin as a supplement. What I don't like about that is it's not, it's less invasive than some drugs. However, it's still handicapping you. I mean, it's still a crutch. So long-term, it's not going to improve your production of melatonin. In fact, it could make your own production, your natural production, dwindle away. So we'll talk about some natural ways to stimulate melatonin production in just a little bit, but we can't fix what we don't know. So I think it's really important that we start addressing this as an issue. We start talking about it. And, we talk about nutrition and exercise, but we don't talk about sleep as much with people who are struggling with health issues. And making some changes for sleep can be the easiest thing to start with. Not everyone is going to say, you tell them they need to exercise and they start making 5 days a week jogging routine. That's a little bit harder to implement. Some of these changes that we're going to talk about are so simple. It's really a great place for people to start who have chronic issues. REM is key. You have to get to that 4th stage of sleep in order to really feel the full effects of that reparation and balancing that happens while you're sleeping. Making sleep a priority instead of sort of putting it off and letting it kind of take a back seat. We have to make it a priority. We have to focus on that. We can't abandon light and dark cycles. So as much as we want to, basically say whatever it is that we want is what we can get, it's not, unfortunately, for third shift people, because I know somebody has to work those hours, but we can't change the fact that our bodies are built to live and be awake during light parts of the day. And some of the things that we do, even if we don't work shift, is expose ourselves to more light than is natural right up until we're about to fall asleep. So watching TV or devices right before we go to sleep, how many people have a TV in their bedroom? And that's not a great habit. It really is an impact. Excuse me, I was tripping over my words. It really impacts our ability to sleep. And then using night shift on our phone would be a good option. However, it's still that exposure to electromagnetic fields, but also just to that light, it's still not great. So the sooner before you go to bed, or the longer before you go to bed, you can have those devices turned off, the better. So maybe come up with a new process of reading a bit before you go to sleep. That's still light, but it's a little bit more natural light, a little less strain on your eyes. Do not eat or drink 2 hours before bed, because as soon as we lay down, those things need to process. And if our body is digesting, it doesn't sleep as well because it's more focused on that digestion process. So another simple thing, a new habit that you can form: don't go to bed angry. That's, we've heard that before. It's a real thing. You go to bed angry, you can't come down from that. You don't rest as easily. You don't find that deep, deep sleep if you go to bed angry. So using oils, if you're in a bad mood, talk it out. Come to terms with your anger, address it, deal with it. Do not put it off until tomorrow, because you'll lose a good night's sleep over it. So what are some of the solutions for us? Establish a good bedtime routine. And that means, follow some of those steps before. Try to not eat 2 hours before. Try to cut out the lights. The screens 2 hours before would be good too, if you can, or at least, 30 minutes to an hour. Take it slow, start small, but do it. Consistent bedtime and wake time. You can't just kind of go to bed when you feel like it and wake up when you feel like it. The more consistent you can be about that, the better you will feel. Avoid alcohol, caffeine, and recreational drugs. Those things all affect our body's natural processes. So if you can eliminate those, or at least cut back, I partake in alcohol and caffeine on occasion, and if not every day, caffeine especially. But I have a routine, and I really very rarely will drink caffeine past 3 p.m. because I know that it affects my sleep. So that's just one simple thing that I did. If you like coffee, okay, well, maybe make it decaf after 3, or switch to a tea, an herbal tea, or something that you can do instead of that caffeine that you also enjoy. Maintain mattresses and pillows. We have to invest in our health that way. There are great mattresses out there. There are really bad mattresses. There are really old mattresses. There are really bad pillows. All of these things are things to take into consideration. Make sure you're comfortable and try to get your spine aligned. If you want to talk to a chiropractor or something about suggestions, that might be a good idea for your own particular needs. But do invest in your bedding, because we spend so much time there. It should be one of the most luxurious places in our house. Nutrition and supplements. This is a step that we're going to talk about specific things in a minute. Exercise, of course. If you exercise, you sleep better, because your body is more tired, and your mind releases a lot of those stresses when you exercise, which helps you sleep better when it comes time to lay your head down. So those are some simple things. Getting tech out of the bedroom. The only thing that should be going on in the bedroom are sex and sleep. So again, let's be honest, sleep is not a sexy topic, but abs are, and people love abs and a flat belly. And that was Sean Stevenson. People who get adequate sleep lose 55% more body fat, and the proper production of melatonin is correlated to burning fat. So, really, again, this is just something that we need to talk about more. It needs to be more in the forefront of how we think about natural healthcare, or healthcare in general. It should be one of the first things that people talk about. Simple steps. No snacks after dinner. Trade your device for a book. Go to bed earlier. Exercise. Epsom salt bath, so a nice calming, soothing bath. Good supplements. Reduce alcohol or caffeine intake, and essential oils. So we've a little bit hit on all of those, and now we're going to talk about more and the products that doTERRA has specifically to help us with those things, and essential oils and supplements. So simple and powerful natural supports that we have. So 3 ways to use our products for sleep. Of course, the same 3 ways, and with some of them, I'll be specific about how I use them and how I've heard others use them for those specific needs. But using them aromatically and diffusing at night is so good, and I sleep better every time we get the diffuser going before we go to sleep. The kids sleep better. It's a simple way to use the oils and get them, so you're breathing better, and so you're getting those effects kind of constantly through the night. You can also make a simple linen spray it on your bed before you go to bed. And that can be a really effective way to get those aromatic benefits without maybe having a diffuser. Okay, topical use. Using the oils on your feet is one of the most powerful ways to use essential oils for sleep, which seems totally weird and doesn't really make sense. But we have a lot of reflex points on the bottoms of our feet that stimulate the brain or trigger the brain. And so using oils directly on the bottoms of our feet can be super effective. In fact, the big toe is kind of like the brain receptor site. So if you put oils directly on the big toe, for some reason, it's a really effective way to deal with sleep issues. And we'll talk about some of those oils specifically in a minute. But aroma touch, massage, you could do just the foot part of the aroma touch, just the hand part of the aroma touch, or the whole aroma touch technique would be amazing if you're really struggling to sleep, because it does so many things to help reduce stress and to decrease inflammation, and just promote overall balance. So if sleep is a major struggle for you, aroma touch would be a really great option. And right before bed would be amazing, but even if you did it earlier in the day, it would still be great. So using the oils internally, some of them specifically are good for sleep internally, but we actually have just a couple of supplements that are particularly good when taken internally, and we'll talk about those. And that's what's next. So Serenity Complex and Serenity Essential Oil. They're two separate products, and I'm going to just describe them for you a little bit. The Serenity Restful Blend has a little bit of vanilla, lavender, some Roman chamomile. It's got cedar wood, and I think it has vetiver now in it too. And it's just a really great blend. It smells amazing. A lot of people use it throughout the day just for stress and anxiety. And it's wonderful for that too. If you mix it with Balance, one of our other great stress relieving blends, that combination is wonderful, especially for super stressful moments. But using that at night on the bottoms of your feet, on that big toe, like I suggested, is super effective in the diffuser. People love it in the diffuser. You could make a roller bottle and use that to apply it to your feet. Super simple, but really, really good thing to do. We keep a bottle in our baby's room, and I put it on him pretty regularly, behind his ears, on his feet, sometimes on his spine. All good places for sleep. The Serenity Restful Complex is a combination of different things, but not essential oils. It's got some herbs in there like passion flower, and then it's got L-theanine, which is a amino acid that helps in the production of melatonin. So it isn't melatonin itself. It's something that stimulates the production of melatonin in your body. And that's really what we want to do. And that's how the oils work. They go in and they say, hey, body, do what you're supposed to do. And they do that at a cellular level. So it's a really effective way to use what nature has to offer. And it's a really smart way to kind of get your body back on track and to help it remember how it's supposed to function. They did some studies with some of the employees at doTERRA, and they were, what are all the words? Double blind, something studies, but very effective, and they got some really great results. And the people who took the test, the conclusions were very clear that the people who, if they were taking the placebo, didn't see the effects, and if they took the actual Serenity, they definitely saw the effects. And it was interesting to see those results. But my own personal testimony is, when I take it, I sleep well and I wake up feeling rested. And when I don't, I often regret it. And I actually will use Serenity Complex through the day too when I have some super stressful days, because it does help calm the nerves. But there's no groggy feeling, and there's no, like even at night when I take it, a lot of times I'll take it an hour before bed or 20 minutes before bed or whatever. It doesn't really seem to matter so much. I don't get that feeling of like, oh my gosh, I have to go to bed right now. It's just when I go to sleep, I sleep very calmly and soundly. And when I wake up, I feel rested. And I didn't even think I really had an issue with that, but I'm seeing some great results in terms of helping balance hormones and things like that too. So I highly recommend the Serenity Restful Complex. It's a great deal. At wholesale price on Serenity is only $19.50. So everybody is worth $19.50 to get a more restful sleep. And there's 60 soft gels. If you do one, that's good for 2 months. If you do two, that's good for 1 month. And it can be a game changer, a major life changer to have something like that to use. So breathe easier. Breathing is a huge issue with sleep, because if you're not breathing well, then you're not going to be sleeping well. And most people struggle with this. A lot of people struggle with this, especially if, weight is an issue, or asthma, or any kind of nasal thing is an issue. Snorers, they need to breathe better. And so Breathe Essential Oil is a very good fix for that. And some people that I've talked to, when they start using that Breathe Essential Oil in their diffuser at night, it's a game changer for them. They sleep like they haven't in years and years, and they just love it. And when you diffuse Breathe, it just makes your room feel like fresh air in there. So we love it. It opens those airways. The Breathe you can use in the diffuser, or we have a great Breathe stick. You can apply it on the chest, on the feet. And it's just up to you. You could dilute the oil yourself in a carrier, like fractionated coconut oil, or make like a salve out of it if you're into making stuff like that. But again, on the bottoms of the feet is a good place, but this one particularly, I think the chest is really good because it's right there where you're going to smell it, and it's going to actually go into your lungs through your skin and help just open up your chest doing it that way too. So Breathe is a great sleep resource. And for some people, it's their favorite. And a lot of people will put Breathe with lavender in their diffuser, and that's a really effective way to improve sleep. So proper nutrition. Slim and Sassy is a great product because it helps us break down toxins that are in our diet. It helps our metabolism. And that's all with just using the oil. So without, changing what you're eating, you can add Slim and Sassy and it can benefit you. Lemon, the same. Adding lemon to your water is delicious, and it's great for detoxifying. It's invigorating. So many good things about using lemon regularly. And then we have an amazing combination of supplements that are perfectly balanced to fill in the holes that our diet leaves. And even if you're eating super healthy, there are holes because our nutrition comes from, far away nowadays. Our veggies, even if they're fresh, they're, maybe a week old. They were picked a week ago. So we really just need to think about having a good food-based supplement, something that our body can actually absorb, something that is filling in those holes, giving us the elements that we don't get from our diet, like the fish oil, and all these other things. Because if our nutrition is off, then our bodies can't function properly. Even when we're asleep, if we sleep really, really well, that nutrition gets absorbed during that time and is sent to where it needs to go in our body to get things done. So if we skip that step, then we're still in trouble. So digestive aids. Some people don't sleep very well because they have digestive needs, indigestion and stomach upset. Wild orange, peppermint, digestin, those are 3 simple tools. Wild orange is also good to help with sleep. It helps de-stress. It's weird because as a citrus oil, those are normally invigorating, but wild orange is actually really good for sleep, really good for indigestion, reflux issues. Peppermint, again, good for stomach problems. You could apply that to the bottoms of your feet. Peppermint, I feel like, is a little invigorating. It wouldn't be one I would want right before I go to bed, but there are actually kids and perhaps adults too who struggle. They need some kind of stimula to help calm down. And peppermint can be a better option for them than lavender because if they feel too calm, they're restless. But people who need that extra stimula to calm down, peppermint can be a really great option. Digestin, again, I've known some people who have had major heartburn, reflux kind of things, and they've been able to really provide their body with the support it needed by using digestin. And you can get that in the capsules too, which is super handy. Stomach upset, yes, keeps us awake. These are some other options for our diet. Terrazyme is an amazing product. It's enzymes that help break down our food. So a lot of times when we're having a reaction or our nutrition isn't being absorbed well, it's because we don't have enough enzymes in our foods, or our foods have been cooked or processed in a way that all those enzymes are broken down. So we need to add those enzymes back into our routine. And Terrazyme is a simple way to do that. You take it with your meal in the evening and it goes in there, and it really just helps break those foods down so that when your body is digesting through the night, it is doing it effectively and not, getting hung up on things that you don't have the right enzymes to deal with. PB Assist, our probiotic, again, amazing at helping make sure that our gut has all those good guys in there that we need. And that helps improve not just digestion, but that helps improve our immune function as well. Because if our gut is well balanced with the good probiotics, good bacteria, then we digest better, but our immune system functions better as well. And then GX Assist is a cleanse. And so if you struggle with these kinds of things, going through that cleanse, that 30-day protocol, GX is a huge part of, can be super beneficial because it can really help you just reset your body and improve sleep during that period as well. So mind and mood management. A lot of times we can't sleep because we are distracted by our thoughts and by our emotions. Oops, sorry, that guy shouldn't be there anymore. Excuse the deep blue. He'll be on the next page. But these are our 6 emotional aromatherapy oils. You can get these in roller bottles as well, which are great to apply topically before you go to bed. I use these topically. You can use these in the diffuser as well. We have a daily drop app, it helps you, choose what emotions you're feeling and pick which of these oils would be best suited to help you deal with those. But, we all have bad days, and we all interact with other people, or, even within ourselves have issues. Bad day at work, or you're not loving your job, or you're angry at your children, or whatever. Having these oils on hand to help you cope with those emotions is super, super important. And it's such a leg up in this world where we usually are just left to our own devices to deal with these things. And if we have the oils, they flip switches in our brains to help us cope. And so it's not just about, oh, that smells good. It's about actually having an impact chemically inside our brains to deal with different things. So don't underestimate the power of these. Peace in particular for sleep has been magnificent for our 1-year-old, but for me as well. And I think balance, this is on one of the next slides, it was super important for me, and it still is. If I wake up with that anxiety that I just can't let go of, it happens at night. You just start worrying about things that are silly. Having balance and peace, or console sometimes, are just exactly what I need to be able to just relax and get back to bed and really get a restful night's sleep. So pain management, that little precursor, Deep Blue offers amazing things. If you're so in such pain that you can't fall asleep, we have tools for that. Deep Blue, if you have not used it, needs to be a staple in your home. The Deep Blue polyphenol complex is an amazing blend of herbal supports that help decrease inflammation. And so if you're feeling pain, I feel like Deep Blue is an excellent alternative. When I had my last baby, most people have heard the story by now, but I did not need to take any kind of painkillers. I just took the Deep Blue polyphenol complex, and it was amazing. So it's not the same as the oils or the rub. It's a totally separate product. It's just in the Deep Blue line because it deals with the same kinds of, pain and inflammation kind of thing. So if you're not familiar with our Deep Blue line and you have pain, you need to get familiar. Okay, daytime sleepiness. So you maybe didn't get a great night's sleep. You need more energy. These are some options instead of that caffeine or that sugar rush that you normally turn to. Mito 2 Max is amazing, and the energy that it offers is way better than caffeine. Not only do you not get the jitters, you just get this stable kind of release of energy, and it's good for you. It's all herbal and stuff that is good for you to take, and it helps. For me, on those days when I'm feeling particularly stressed out or burning at both ends, Mito 2 Max is a lifesaver. I use it constantly, and I really take it preemptively every day because there's no harm in that, and it just helps stabilize my energy. And brain function and everything is better when I use that product. Motivate, don't feel like doing anything, feel like laying down, motivate. In Tune helps you focus. I turn to this regularly. I used to not love the smell because of the patchouli, but now I'll use patchouli on its own for the same effect. And it smells amazing. It's a great stress reliever. So In Tune is one of my favorite daytime sleepiness issues. And sleepiness for me looks like stress. It looks like short-tempered, outbursts, things of that nature. Maybe you're familiar. So using these things is super beneficial, not just for me, but for the people around me. Peppermint beadlet, you may be driving and getting sleepy. Popping one of those things just wakes you back up. It's amazing. And you could add a drop of peppermint to your water if you like that. You can use peppermint in your coffee if you like that. But peppermint is a simple tool, and, really just breathing it in, open the bottle, put a drop in your hands, rub those hands together, hold it over your mouth. And it's very invigorating. So peppermint is a really good option. And Slim and Sassy isn't in this picture. We've already talked about it, but Slim and Sassy, a lot of people like that, around 3 o'clock to pick themselves up. It's got some peppermint in it and some other good things in there. So these are 4 really awesome tools to have with you. Maybe even in your purse or in your desk, or whatever. So calming emotions. We've already talked about moodiness and emotions a little bit, but these are some of the other ones that for sleep. Marjoram is actually in Serenity, so that's good. But marjoram on its own can be a great one to help calm things down. Diffusing it, adding it maybe to some wild orange or something, maybe to balance. Balance, again, is one I use constantly. For me, it's my go-to sleep aid. I love cedarwood too. Some people love vetiver. Um, I feel like vetiver is too strong for me. So I'll wake up feeling like, whoa, that was a crazy night's sleep. So I skip vetiver sometimes, but we'll talk more about those suggestions in just a second. Console, forgive. Here are some other oils and products. Lifelong Vitality supplements, I did mention a little bit. The lavender on its own, some people, that's all they need. And for me, a lot of times it's all I need too. It got to a point where I'd use lavender so much I could just lay there and not want to get up and get the lavender and just think about smelling lavender, and that would help me calm down. Because again, it's about these triggers in our brain. So once we teach our brains and our bodies how to function, we don't have to rely on the oils as much as we used to. Which is, liberating. Although I don't mind using lavender every night. It's just, laziness. But anyway, so cedarwood, another one of my favorites. The combination of lavender and cedarwood, or serenity and cedarwood, is super good. Great in the diffuser, but great on the bottoms of the feet too. Vetiver, again, most people like that on the big toe. The smell of it is not the most appealing. Some people like it, but it's not my favorite. I know some people love it with ylang ylang. Is a great one that's not on this list, but can be super helpful for sleep. Juniper berry. If somebody wrestles with weird dreams or nightmares, juniper berry helps to eliminate those. And it's crazy how it works. It's such a silly thing, but you could diffuse that. You could put it on the feet, on the spine, dilute it if you want. Juniper berry is a different one. It's not one that we have a ton of uses for. It's not, like lavender, we know can be used for so many different things, but juniper berry, I really like the smell of. It's a nice thing to add to different things. And then peace for emotional rest, which I talked about already. And it's just got an amazing blend of different things that are good for putting the mind at ease. Oh, there's some pictures I forgot. Okay, so we're at 30 minutes. I guess that we're past 30. 45. Oh, sorry. We started a little late, so give me a break. But that was our class. If you are interested in being on the list to make sure you get notifications of our other classes that are coming up, we try to do one every 2 weeks. We already have a playlist put together on our YouTube channel, which is available to anyone who is interested, and you can go and see what's available there. Our next